Dark waters, silent skies, and above the Black Sea, a familiar shadow returns. The United States Navy and the British Royal Air Force have carried out coordinated aerial surveillance missions along one of the most sensitive frontiers of the war in Ukraine, the airspace near the Crimean Peninsula and Russia's Krasnodar region. According to the Military Watch magazine, an American P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft and a British RC-135W Rivet Joint Signals Intelligence jet were tracked flying extended, deliberate reconnaissance patterns just miles from Russian-controlled territory. Flight data reveals a calculated choreography. The U.S. P-8A swept wide arcs over open water, conducting a classic maritime patrol. Farther west, the British RC-135W initially flew parallel racetrack patterns before closing in and joining the same operational zone closer to Crimea. These repeated loops were no coincidence. They are the unmistakable signature of surveillance. Radar probing, sensors searching, and signals being quietly harvested. Together, the two aircraft form a powerful intelligence pairing. The P-8A brings advanced radar, electro-optical, and infrared sensors capable of tracking ships, vehicles, and movement along coastlines. The RC-135W, meanwhile, is a flying electronic eavesdropper built to intercept, analyze, and geolocate enemy radar, communications, and air defense emissions. What one sees, the other hears. Since February 2022, NATO intelligence flights like these have played a decisive role in shaping the Ukrainian war effort. Combined with hundreds of Western satellites and the presence of Western personnel supporting complex weapons systems, this intelligence has transformed raw data into actionable battlefield advantage. These missions don't just observe, they inform planning, refine targeting, and may directly enable precision strikes deep behind Russian lines. Russia, by contrast, lacks a comparable reconnaissance network. That imbalance continues to tilt the intelligence war in favor of Ukraine and its Western backers. The stakes rose further in August 2025 when U.S. Navy P-8s began operating in the Black Sea equipped with the highly secretive AN/APS-154 Advanced Airborne Sensor. Mounted beneath the aircraft in a special mission pod, this next-generation radar can scan land and sea simultaneously, track moving targets, and generate high-resolution imagery day or night, even through bad weather. Designed for coastal warfare, it turns the P-8 into far more than a submarine hunter. All of this focuses on one place, Crimea. The peninsula is among the most heavily fortified territories under Russian control, saturated with air defense systems, including the S-500 Prometei. Yet it has been relentlessly targeted by missiles, drones, and long-range strikes aimed at airfields, bridges, beaches, and infrastructure. Ukrainian officials openly describe Crimea as a primary objective. Western leaders have gone further. Speaking in Warsaw in October 2025, former UK Defense Secretary Ben Wallace called for escalating attacks to make Crimea unviable, arguing that choking civilian and military life there could force Moscow to reassess the cost of the war. As surveillance aircraft circle overhead and sensors scan silently below, one message is clear. Crimea remains at the center of a widening intelligence and pressure campaign, and the skies above it are anything but empty. Ukraine's front line stretches more than 700 miles, and now the cracks are beginning to show. In the southeastern town of Huliaipole, Ukrainian defenses were caught off guard when Russian troops slipped into the town under cover of fog, moving along a river that cuts through the area. Drawn by the sound of a generator, Russian troops stormed a Ukrainian command post. A firefight erupted. Ukrainian soldiers were forced to retreat, leaving behind critical equipment and maps revealing nearby drone positions. Soon after, those drone teams came under heavy Russian fire. One Ukrainian commander called the situation simply a catastrophe. After 4 years of grinding war, Ukraine faces a harsh reality. It does not have enough troops to defend every sector equally. The New York Times reported that Kyiv has focused much of its manpower on holding key cities in Donetsk, the region Russia insists it must fully control before any peace settlement. But that focus has left other areas, like parts of Zaporizhia, more vulnerable, and Russia appears to be exploiting those gaps. In late 2025, Russian forces made their largest advances in Zaporizhia and nearby regions, capturing significant territory while Ukrainian forces struggled to hold defensive lines. Today, battlefield maps suggest Russia controls at least half of Huliaipole. Still, analysts caution that Moscow's gains remain limited overall, capturing less than 1% of Ukraine's total territory last year. For Ukrainian soldiers, the war now feels like fighting fires, rushing to one hotspot only to see another erupt elsewhere. The strategy is no longer about holding every inch of land, but about denying Russia momentum, especially as US-brokered peace talks continue. "We go where the fire breaks out," one commander told the New York Times from an underground command post. For civilians, life near the front has grown unbearable. Residents describe months of shelling, empty streets, closed shops, and constant fear. But things worsened when kamikaze drones began appearing overhead, often the sign of an approaching assault. One elderly resident recalled how soldiers defending the town appeared exhausted and undersupplied. Artillery was scarce, troop rotations slowed, and eventually reinforcements stopped arriving. To many civilians, the writing was on the wall.
Кожен день вибухають FPV-шки, дрони. Прямо у сусідів у дворі впало. Вибило там вікна, двері. Да. Розкидало там пелюстки такі невеликі. Да, дуже. На вулицю діти взагалі не виходять. Бачу смисла в Запоріжжі взагалі залишатися. Зараз, он кажуть, будуть і піски евакуювати, і космос район. Да, чули таке, що да. Ще трошки ближче підійдуть, до них теж будуть долітати ті всі FPV. Хоча вони вже долітають, не так часто, як до нас.
Останні дні летіло все, що можна, не стало зв'язку. Мобільний так давно вже не працював. Інтернет перебитий, тому я працюю на ЖД вокзалі, тому не могла дозвонитися додому, дуже нервувала. Він сам з бабушкою, бабуся нас мала мобільна. Тому прийняли рішення виїжджати, тому що вирішили, що більше вже за нами ніхто не приїде, хоч якісь речі з собою.
Каби і дрони, дрони, все летить. Все, що є у їх, все летить. Після Нового року, як подуріли. А так обстрілювали, звісно.
When Ukrainian reinforcements finally arrived late last year, they discovered some defensive positions had already fallen, losses that were not immediately reported. Retaking ground meant advancing under constant drone attacks and engaging in brutal close combat. Soldiers now train relentlessly, knowing that survival often depends on split-second reactions against an enemy that sees nearly everything from above. But even after territory is recaptured, holding it remains a challenge. Commanders admit manpower shortages are severe. A battalion that should have 500 soldiers may have only 100, and only half of those may be fit for combat. Draft evasion and desertion have worsened the strain. Ukraine's defense leadership says millions have avoided service, while thousands of soldiers are absent without leave. Russian President Vladimir Putin has now ordered his forces to press forward toward the regional capital of Zaporizhia. Ukraine hopes newly built defensive lines, belts of wire, anti-tank ditches, and fortified earthworks can slow or halt the advance. A long front line, limited manpower, constant pressure, and a war where every gap can become a breakthrough. As winter fighting continues, the question remains, can Ukraine hold the line, or will Russia find more openings?